So here we are, live once again. Let's check out if everything is all right. Yeah, seems pretty cool. Pretty cool. I think the way that I've put the lighting for now is not too bad. Sorry, guys. Still have my throat problem. So, hey everyone. We are at Learn the Tech live show where we talk about a subject every week. Light subject, but something that I thought was nice. I had one user tell me, what about talking about the most popular websites and what they actually are? And basically, I thought that was a good idea because as a tech guy, I do understand that a lot of people don't know what all the websites actually do. As a tech guy, I've noticed that people often have a misconception about what a website is, or what this website does, what is Twitter, what is Facebook, what's eBay, people hear these things. And a lot of them don't really know what these websites are about. So I thought, let's take a look at some of the most popular websites, names that people might have heard, but just have no idea what actually they are. So, welcome to Learn the Tech. This is show number 25 for October 18th, 2016. I've took out the sweater because, believe it or not, it reached like 25 today here, which is very unusual for this time of year. And it's actually hot in the apartment, so I thought that I'd take off my big sweater and be more comfortable. Also, I thought, now we're going to take a look at websites. Why not just, sit down and relax and talk about these websites. So I hope, if you have people that are kind of newbies and don't really know much about the internet and they basically use Google and little websites here and there and they don't know, why not have them watch and they might learn a little bit more about what all of this is about. So, of course, Learn the Tech is a show where everything is decided by you. You are the one that tells me what subjects you want me to talk about. So don't hesitate. You can comment below the video. You can send a comment through email at helpwithyourcomputers@gmail.com. The same website where you send your questions. And a lot of people are sending in subjects. I think it's pretty cool. Thank you very much. So today, it's a light subject, but some of you, or mostly some people, don't really know much about, what actually websites are about. First one, of course, the most popular website in the world. This is the number one website, Google. Now, Google.com is the most popular, but Google has pretty much a flavor for each company. So that's why you see here Google Canada. Because when I try Google.com, it redirects me to Google Canada. So most countries in the world have a Google of their own. It's almost like, there's a Google Spain, there's a Google France, a Google UK. Why? Because Google likes to be more local in certain websites. So what is Google? For most people, Google is search engine. And everybody's going to say, hey, I Googled something. It's become a verb, actually. Google did not exist. And for those that wonder, by the way, what the name Google means, Google is a number, a mathematical number. So basically, if I remember well, thanks, Tim, for the congrats on the quarter of a century. So Google is exactly, I'm just going to tell you for a second. So it's an internet search engine, but a Google, because this is a transform for Googol, is a number at 10 to the power of 100. So it's a really big number, and that's a Google. And that's where the name is derived from, by the way. So maybe you already learned something, that this name is derived from 10 at the power of 100, which is a Google, Googol. Now, Google isn't the first search engine that ever existed. Google arrived in the mid-2000s. It was an idea where, a few people were saying, well, maybe there's a way to kind of organize the search results better than what all the search engines are doing right now. Because technically, when Google arrives, Yahoo, that we're going to talk about soon, is the biggest search engine of the time. And Google arrives with a special algorithm. So the reason why, first of all, Google became so popular is because it really tries to pin down your search results in a much more interesting way for you. So if you searched before Google, you search for pizza, they would give you pizza website recipes, pizza places around the world. You'd be pretty lucky if you had a pizza place near you. But in Google, they've actually all changed that. And they said the first thing that should show up in any search result is what is the most accurate and pinpointed to your area. And if you searched pizza on Google, don't be surprised that some of the results are pizza places around you that you can go by just by walking distance. You don't even have to own a car. That's what made Google extremely popular, because suddenly you had a search engine that searched for real stuff. But beyond that, Google for everybody is a search engine. For me, Google is a lot more. It's a bunch of services. It's a bunch of things. But behind this very, very drab-looking website that for everybody, once again, is a search engine, is hiding the biggest ad company in the world. Yep, Google is the #1 ad placement company in the world. Google makes billions of dollars on ads. It is the biggest ad network. It's mainly that. It's where it makes its money. It doesn't make money on search. It makes money on ads. Everywhere you go, there are ads. Every website you go, there are ads. Google has a spot in almost every website. Google Ad Network is extremely popular. Why? Because it helps creators of content, of websites, make money. Because Google will place ads on your website, but it shares the revenue with you when somebody looks at the ad. Why am I doing so much YouTube stuff? Well, I love what I do, but one of the reasons, and to be honest, that famous ad network of Google on YouTube displays ads that result in me getting a certain amount of money. So they are sharing part of their revenue, our ad revenue, with me. So that's the second thing. And people, when I tell them that, it's like, well, this, it's not just a search engine. It's the biggest ad company in the world. And people are like, really? Really? Yes. It's the dominating force in ads on the internet. Another dominating force of ads is Amazon. And there are, of course, other networks of ads. Now, Google, what is Google also? It's Gmail. I remember when Gmail was invite only. I was jealous. I didn't have a Gmail email because you had to be invited by somebody else to be part of the Gmail. And I was mad until someday I got an invite from a friend, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm one of those exclusive people that has an email. Now everybody has a Gmail. Everybody can open a Gmail. So that's also a big email network. Gmail is the third biggest email network after Yahoo and Outlook or Hotmail. What used to be Hotmail. Everybody knows it under the name Hotmail. And it's became Outlook today. So third biggest player in email after Yahoo Mail. Believe it, Yahoo Mail is a giant on emails. So imagine what happened with the 500 plus accounts, 500 million plus accounts. That's going to cost them a lot because they're going to lose part of that really big phenomenon of email. And of course, I opened an email, a Yahoo email, a long time ago. I'm going to come back to that again. So it's Gmail. It's a ton of services. It's Google Photos. It's all sorts of projects. They are investing in tons of renewable energy and helping the world get internet for low fee or even free of charge. They are a big player in the world. So beyond just being a search engine, it's the biggest ad network in the world, third biggest email provider in the world, and a lot of other things. There's just so many services, including YouTube. Google owns YouTube. And we're going to come to YouTube later on. Of course, all of you watching this really know what YouTube is because you guys are like, well, duh, YouTube. But you'll be surprised. A lot of people are wondering, well, YouTube, what exactly is YouTube? And of course, I have some facts about websites that you might not be aware of. So a lot of you might not be aware of the fact that Google's the biggest ad network in the world. That's where it makes its money. And Gmail is Google. Sometimes people don't put both together. They're like, I'm on Gmail. Yeah, it's Google Mail. Gmail for Google Mail. So there's Google Analytics for viewing, all sorts of statistics on websites. It's giant, and it has a lot of stuff. Okay, what else do we have? Bing. This changed so many times, okay? You can still find it in another form called MSN.com, but the brand is changing. What is Bing? What is, and MSN? Like I said, MSN is part of what Bing is. So if you are because there's still a lot of them, if you're on an MSN.com page, MSN means Microsoft Network. Now that brand is slowly fading away. They're trying to remove the Microsoft Network branding and calling it Bing. Bing is the Google of Microsoft. It's, a search engine. So Bing is a search engine, and that's where some people are brought to. And the reason why Bing is actually a big player in search engines is because it is kind of pushed on us by all sorts of Microsoft services. Google is not really pushed on us much, except when you're using Google Chrome. And it gained its notoriety and its importance through hard work and people just, talking about it and saying, hey, you know what? Google is amazing for search. Bing got its notoriety, like MSN, through pushing of products. So people bought computers that had Windows. Internet Explorer wanted to bring you to the MSN.com page and now brings you to the Bing page. Microsoft Edge browser's default is Bing. Cortana searches everything you want to search for into Bing. It's Microsoft's search engine, moneymaker. It's Microsoft in its services because everything is brought here to us by our own computers. If you would remove Windows machines, you would probably never have heard of Bing. I'm pretty sure. And by the way, this is wine with a little bit of orange juice because I do like the taste. So, Bing is, first of all, a search engine, but it is also a provider of all sorts of other products of Microsoft. So it's one part of the Microsoft family of products. And that's why at the top you've got some of them. You've got MSN, you've got Office Online, you've got Outlook.com. We're going to talk about Outlook.com, what used to be Hotmail.com, which was a brand a lot of people knew. So it's a search engine. It's here in Canada. I'm sorry, but it's one of the bad search engines. It's one of the search engines I never use, and it's funny because I always get every time I say Bing is bad, I get this viewer that tells me, well, I use Bing and I like it. And I understand one thing. Bing in the United States is much better apparently than Bing in Canada. Okay? That I've learned by reading a lot of blog posts and hearing people talking about it. It seems that Bing in the United States is much better. So it is part of the Microsoft stuff. It is also an ad network. Bing does, or Microsoft through Bing does also give you the possibility to have ads on your websites. Of course, it's not as big as Google, and it doesn't work on YouTube. So I can't say, hey, I'm going to use. I make videos. I'm going to use Bing ads also. You know, no. YouTube is for only Google ads. So search engine and portal to all Microsoft stuff, and pushed to you through Microsoft products. So we know this just because Windows dominates. Yahoo. What is Yahoo? You know, a lot of people maybe never heard of Yahoo before the news that more than 500 million accounts, and I find this title absolutely fantastic right here while we're doing a live show. Former Disney star Bella Thorne in Playboy. Okay, I wonder who reads this trash, but it seems that there are some people out there. Yahoo page. Yahoo is, of course, once again, a player in search. It's the first really big search engine that ever existed. I remember how Yahoo changed everything on the internet. I remember going on Yahoo and being so happy that I could search for subjects that I love. And that was so cool. I mean, wow. I've got an encyclopedia right here of information. Now, over the years, people moved to Google, but you know what? Yahoo was able to do one thing that was kind of interesting, and I've seen this on a lot of my clients that are from the old school of using Yahoo, and I see it even in my family. Yahoo was able to retain part of its audience in its search in one interesting way. Google, I told you earlier, is very drab. Yahoo has this page with all sorts of trending news and information, and it seems that this has attracted people enough that they are basically keeping people here, because people don't want to have Google as their start page because they find it's boring, but they want to have this because it has trending stuff in news and so on. So Yahoo, even though it's really, really dropped, is still used in the search. But you know what? I've did a few tests just for the fun of it, and Yahoo search is really, really bad compared to Google. I can tell you that. It's not that it's horrible. I couldn't quantify and say which one between Bing and Yahoo is worse, but it ain't exactly the best in the world. So Yahoo, the first big search engine, this was the big player. That was the Google of the late 90s, early 2000s. Everybody would go to Yahoo to search for something. And it is also the second biggest email provider in the world. It is not a coincidence that more than 500 million accounts. Yahoo was one of the first to offer an online web mail. You know, let's go back into the 90s. You get an internet service provider in the 90s. Through your internet service provider, you get an email, and that's it. You would have an email. They would tell you, well, with your account, you have the possibility of getting 5 different email addresses maximum. If you want more than 5, you need to pay. And then comes along Yahoo that decides that we could have webmail. And I remember I was happy. Actually, I couldn't see the interest through Yahoo webmail for the first years. And the reason why is because I was on a Canadian ISP that is Bell. It was called actually Simpatico back then. And that first that email I had with them, and I had like 3 emails. That's where my local ISP had my first work email for my tech business. And we're about in 2000 right now. And, I print out these cards, these business cards with that email address on it. In 2001, I get into a rant with Simpatico, which is the ISP. Everything's wrong. Everything's going bad. They can't offer me the service that I want, but there's another player called Videotron that can, which is the same provider I still use today. And in 2002, I moved to Videotron, and I just understand one thing. I've got 50,000 business cards that now have the wrong email on them. And Yahoo is one of the first to provide webmail, and I instantly understood, okay, I'm not using ISP's email anymore. I'm taking Yahoo email address, because I understand that the email address from webmail, if I change ISP, I keep it. And so a lot of people jumped on getting webmail and email through Yahoo. A lot of people that didn't have any internet service, because Yahoo is in a period where not a lot of people have actually internet at home. In 2000, internet at home is more of an exception than a rule. Today it's a rule. Today a lot of people have internet at home. Most people. Not everybody yet. Most people. So that's also cool, because people that don't have an ISP, an internet service provider, and that go to a coffee shop, and remember back then you're not going with a laptop in a coffee shop. It's not you bring your own computer and have Wi-Fi. There were shops in coffee shops that actually had computers. There were libraries with computers, because once again a lot of people didn't have computers, but the internet was starting to get popular. And what's cool with Yahoo, it brings along one thing that nobody could have without an internet service provider before. You have a free email address that you can actually check. So that's cool, because you don't have internet at home, you don't have a computer, but thanks to Yahoo, you can go to the library, log into your account, send email, receive email, So you're part of the game, because at some point, if you don't send or receive emails, there's something missing. And companies want you to apply or send your CV through email, and basically it's just amazing. So Yahoo at the start is a giant of search. It's the first one that we use. It's the first webmail that everybody starts using, and that's why there are more than 500 million accounts that were stolen. According to some stats that I've seen, Yahoo has more than 1 billion email users. 1 billion email users. That's pretty amazing when you think. Of course, today it's dropped a lot. It's still a profitable company though today, even though all the problems, because it's kind of a media company. They have like a TMZ website. They have all sorts of things like this that apparently people are interested in. And it's still keeping, and it's got the big email service that's still important. Now, with what happened, will it have dropped somewhat? That is going to be an interesting stat to check at. Like next year, will Yahoo Mail still be up there? I am one of those that has a Yahoo email that can't really change it, because I do have a lot of stuff, because of the fact that it was one of my major emails for a long time. It is very complicated for me to move on to something else. So kind of, interesting. And will it have lost its positions? Will it move down to the top 10 email providers maybe? Who knows? Wikipedia. What is Wikipedia? Huh? A lot of people are like, what's Wikipedia? Well, it's a free online encyclopedia. It is in different languages. And of course, if you speak English, you do have more articles than if you speak a different language. For example, I speak French, and it says here 1,800,000 articles in French versus 5.2 million in English. So Yep. Speaking English helps on this Wikipedia, and I've searched stuff in French from time to time that, yes, unfortunately, it does miss out on some articles. So what is, of course, Wikipedia? It's a free encyclopedia. But what's cool about Wikipedia is that everybody can add something to it. So if you are on Wikipedia, you search for a subject, you notice it's missing. Well, if you have knowledge, you can create a page. And as time goes by, people will go on that page when they search for a subject. Oh, this is wrong, this is not. There will be, adjustments and everything. And Wikipedia basically built itself on the user around the world that just wants to share knowledge through this encyclopedia. Now, there's a lot of discussion for a long time about, does Wikipedia have the same importance? Are the articles as good as, say, Encyclopedia Britannica, which is the reference in the world for the encyclopedia? And basically, the latest survey that was done, they took 10,000 articles out of Wikipedia, 10,000 articles out of Encyclopedia Britannica. They compared, and they found in these 10,000 articles, about the same amount of mistakes each side. So like, 150 mistakes on one, 150 mistakes on the other. And they said, you know what? Wikipedia is surprisingly accurate if you consider the fact that Encyclopedia Britannica uses research, uses experts. and that this one, Wikipedia, uses you and me to talk about a subject. Of course, there are some subjects that are sensitive, so there are different levels. At first, everybody can modify everything, and it became a problem because articles say about Jesus Christ. So whether you're a believer in God, in Jesus, if you're an atheist and you don't believe in God, in Jesus, say you are a Jew, say you are a Muslim, everybody had its own view on some subjects like religion. People had views on politics. And what arrived is that they've noticed, okay, everything that's sensitive, people are always messing around with the articles, and it's difficult to have the truth and to have the correct thing. And sometimes people would be just darn mad or bad and say bad things. So they started creating levels of people that are doing articles in Wikipedia. So before, everybody could just sign in and do an article. Then on some types of articles, you got to sign in and prove who you are. And on some higher articles, you have to just really, show that you are somebody knowledgeable about the subject, that you are well referenced, and that what you're going to say is really talking about a subject, not inventing anything, now not giving your point of view. An encyclopedia is not your point of view. It's knowledge, general knowledge about something. It does not have your point of view, and it should not have your point of view. So they created levels, and they started locking down some articles. So for example, if you search for Jesus Christ, you're going to see that it says this article has been locked down because too many people would want to change some stuff. Why? Because some churches would want to modify according to their beliefs. Where here, Wikipedia tries to get with facts, not with personal beliefs. So it's actually pretty accurate, and it has one major positive point that I always find amazing. It always is extremely up to date. Because there are millions of people that contribute here. What's cool is that if something happens, say a public figure dies. I remember David Bowie. I remember when David Bowie died, I'm a big fan of David Bowie. I wondered what age he was, and I went to Wikipedia. And I was actually extremely amazed that in the section about his life, they already have added that he had died in all the details. And I was like, wow, this is fast. Somebody already wow, David Bowie, let's add this. We have to add this now. So Wikipedia is fun for that. If there's a world event happening, if in a country there's something happening and it changed everything, you go here and Wikipedia will have in the hours that follow already an updated article on the subject. So Wikipedia is a nice website. I am a fan of knowledge. I'm a fan of learning stuff. I got to say Wikipedia is one of my regular stops. So Wikipedia, nice, great website. Okay, LinkedIn. I'm going to sign in to LinkedIn. Here we go. Sign in. LinkedIn. What is that website? LinkedIn is, think about it as your business card to the world on the web. It is a professional website. For example, for a long time, I removed my stuff from there because of there was a leak. There was a hack of LinkedIn at a certain point. There was a leak, and since I don't use this professionally, I decided to remove myself from LinkedIn. But for a long time, as a tech guy, I had a professional page on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is that place where you show who you are, your skills, all the work that you did, what are your forces. It's basically like having your online resume on a website. It is called LinkedIn because it creates links between people. So when I was a tech guy, for example, many of my clients that were also professional in their own work would link me to them. They would ask me to be linked to them, meaning that other people around them would see me. So it creates a network of professionals and of people of different, categories of work and professionalism, and it can, in some way, maybe help you advance in some of the professional side. It can be in some areas used a little bit like a resume, seeing who you are, what you do, what you like, what type of work you've been to. And sometimes, I have a friend of mine that actually found a job without even having to, send out resumes or go through different websites where they post, check for jobs and everything, because somebody in LinkedIn knew or noticed that, okay, it's out of work and I need a lawyer. I need a professional lawyer in the company where I work. So I'm going to hire him as my lawyer, my full-time lawyer. And he got a job. So, LinkedIn is the professional side of the internet. It's where everybody that is in there, that is somebody that is professional in some way with work, somehow creates his little space. It's maybe not as popular. It had like a peak, I would say, somewhere in around 2010, 11, 12, and it kind of shines a little less, but still, if you're a professional in any way, having a LinkedIn page is usually a good idea. Craigslist. Now, all you see here is some kind of gibberish on my screen, but these are all categories of things that, in French, of categories of things that you can search for. Craigslist is basically kind of a website where you just post an ad on things you got to sell or things that you're searching for. There's a part of it, and I'm going to talk about it a little later, there's a part of it for people that also are kind of searching for somebody to, be looking for a lonely man looking for a wife or something, It is one of the biggest in the world. Craigslist is a great, there's a lot of different variants. There's KDG for some places also. And you also have local places. Here in Quebec, I know we have 2 local Quebec places too. So it's an ad placement. You just put, you've got a used computer for sale. You just put it there for sale, and somebody's going to call you. And now Craigslist is one of the biggest in the world for ads, classified ads. I was looking for a name, classified ads. What happened with classified ads on Craigslist is that they've had some bad publicity for a while because there was a lot of people that actually started using Craigslist for bad things. So they were pretending to sell a computer, but basically they would lure you into getting the money and you'd never get the computer. or they would also here one of the biggest scandals that was on Craigslist here was in Quebec was that people would sell, actually people from abroad would find a house where, for example, people would have gone for 3 months in Florida, for example, and he would pretend that that would be his house and sell it here and get money and steal, and it was really, really something. Also, in many countries, and I'm surprised, I thought they had removed it here, there's a place here where you can find people. So here it says, for example, women looking for women, women looking for men, men for women, and men for men, and so on. Looking for love, and so on. There was also a scandal with this because a lot of prostitutes would use Craigslist to sell their, their thing. And basically, it became such a problem that at some point, there was even the law enforcement that was going to Craigslist and saying, well, whoa, you guys are selling sexual favors and stuff. And I'm surprised that it's there because I remember when that happened, for a long time, they had removed the section where people would, could meet. And I'm surprised that it's still there. So, it's basically classified ads online, and one of the great websites for that. Instagram. What is Instagram? Instagram is popular mostly among the young generation loves Instagram because Instagram is one of those websites and one of those places. It's an app, it's a website, you can share pictures with Instagram. And what's cool is that Instagram is that website that actually will basically an online mobile photo sharing, video sharing, social networking website. It enables and it lets users take pictures and videos, share them publicly, privately, through the app, and also through a variety of social networking platforms. So you can be on Instagram and share stuff through Twitter, Tumblr, Flickr, Facebook, and so on. It's one of the very, very popular websites today for a young generation. I don't use Instagram, I've never did. But it's extremely popular in the young generation today. What else do we have? Facebook. What is Facebook? For anybody that, by the way, anybody that knows the series, The IT Crowd, there's a fantastic episode about Facebook that is really amazing and reflects perfectly what Facebook is about. Facebook is a social network. Facebook, the idea behind Facebook, and by the way, don't believe there was a movie showing Mark Zuckerberg and showing that he did Facebook because he wanted to meet a girl and stuff like that. Totally false. Totally false. It did not happen like that at all. So that movie got it totally wrong. Facebook is a site that was created simply in order for people to meet easily. People that we know in everyday life. People that we might have met somewhere in a bar, in school, at work. It brings everybody together. It is a website that is amazing for what it is. I am quite a big Facebook user. I've got 300 friends or something like that. And of course, it's always a thing of friends. It's friends with very large friends, but it's a cool place where you keep contacts with people that you want or that you like, that you love. And it is amazing to find people that you've lost. For example, I had a 25th anniversary reunion of high school that I actually did with a friend of mine. And Facebook was a big help in there because we found a lot of people in the yearbook. We would look at the names and the pictures, and when we were like 16 years old, we'd go on Facebook and try to find people. And it was amazing. The number of person that we found that, we had lost contact with. Facebook is great for that. Facebook is great for, your everyday life with people that you like, your friends, your closer friends, because it is a social place where you can, talk about your life, about activities. You've got your wall where you can post stuff. So, for example, the last post I did on mine was here we are having the street where I live is very beautiful in the fall because the trees are all colorful. And I posted a few pictures and saying, look, this is the beautiful street where I live. And people just found it, really nice. And so, you can rant, you can talk about anything. It's, of course, now with basically partnered with Messenger, which is a messaging app where people have links together. So it's one of the great websites where you can have, contacts and always be in contact with people that you love. Of course, there's a lot of people that are scared of Facebook because it is a big, big, big website that has a lot of personal info. Facebook asks you for a lot of personal details, including your your birth date and stuff like that. So because of the nature of Facebook and having a picture of your face and having your real name and your birth date and so on, Facebook really, really is probably the number one site for personal information gathering. And in a stat that I was reading, Facebook makes on average $28 for every user. On average, $28 just with your personal info and knowing what you like and checking out your posts because it will dictate also the ads and stuff like that. It is a website that has good, like I said, great for keeping in contact with people. It's bad, of course. You have people that go overboard on Facebook. You have, things that sometimes go wrong. Yes, there are some viruses that we're going through, for example, private messages on Messenger and stuff like that. You got to be careful, but I'm not one of those that finds Facebook is horrible. I'm more one of those that finds it's a nice tool. You just need to be wise when you use it and be careful. Twitter. Interesting, it's pink today for some reason. Twitter. What is Twitter? Twitter is a kind of I would say Twitter is a great place to follow somebody that is important, that does something, that has something to say, something to do. For example, you would go on Twitter if you want to know what Hillary Clinton is doing. She's on Twitter. She will post little tweets that are very small, 140 characters maximum. And that also what is interesting about Twitter is that when you say something, it has to be short, so you don't lose the attention span. And you can follow basically, people that you love. I, for example, on Twitter have a radio Twitter feed where I post, my live shows that I do on the radio channels, news or all sorts of things that I've been doing on the radio. And basically, when you are interested in a subject, when you're interested in an athlete or somebody in particular that has something to say, Twitter is that website. It's not a social site. It's a site where you follow people and people follow you if you've got something to say. So a lot of people actually follow, but never are followed by anybody else. Some people are, for example, I think I have some like 400 followers, and maybe I follow maybe 100 or something like that. Basically, you follow the people that have this common point of interest because you want to learn more. So, for example, I follow Donna Sarkar. So if I go here on my Twitter, I have a following. I follow Donna Sarkar of the Insider team at Microsoft because she will post news about what's happening at the Microsoft Insider team and when new builds are ready or not. So, you know what? This is for me an interesting thing. I'm following because I know what's happening with insider builds and everything. And so you follow people of interest that do something that you like. And a lot of news organizations use Twitter, for example. A lot of them have, more and more, when a breaking news happens, people actually have their breaking news through Twitter first most of the time, even news organizations. So it's, a place where you're following people of interest that are, that have something to say, basically. Then you have what is Amazon. Amazon, the biggest online retailer of the world. Amazon.com, and also they have local. Amazon is a retailer. It's a store. It's an online store. It started with an online bookstore. Amazon was number one in books for a very long time. And then it, of course, expanded through pretty much everything. And it became the number one retailer of the world online. It sells everything. I mean, you can almost grocery shop at Amazon. And they are simply an online store. So if you're wondering, what is Amazon? Sell books, sell pretty much everything. I'm almost wondering if there's something that you can't buy through Amazon, basically. Apple, Apple.com. Apple is, of course, the famous maker of iPhones, of computers like MacBook Pros and stuff like that. It is where you get iTunes, which is the famous music player that also synchronizes. So it's the website of that. Basically, what used to be a big competitor to Microsoft, less and less because each have pretty much going their own way, and with Windows dominating. So Apple, of course, a retailer of hardware. Among the most popular is iPhone. YouTube. Hey, I'm here. Live Tech Show 49. YouTube. What's YouTube? The name tells it all. It's an online platform of video sharing. And what YouTube was able to do that we didn't have before is a place where everybody can suddenly become a star. Everybody can do live shows like I'm doing. Everybody can post videos online about what they want to talk about what they want to show, create a subject of some sort. And it created virtually a big chunk of online stars. Like PewDiePie, for example, which is the number one YouTuber that actually, plays games and laughs like an idiot at everything in the games. And for some reason, it's interesting to look at. So YouTube gives a voice to everybody. YouTube finally is that place where everybody can be a TV star. It's simply that. And through monetization program now, well, if you are popular in some way, you can make money through YouTube. So that's another thing that attracts a lot of people, including me. So, thanks to YouTube, a lot of you now know who I am. I have a following of my different channels of people of all around the world, and it's pretty cool. So YouTube is really and they say it, broadcast yourself. Do something and show it to the world. And that's pretty much what YouTube is. It is, of course, the biggest video sharing network in the world. And, you know, even like the second best player is tiny compared to YouTube, which really, really is the biggest one of all. eBay. What is eBay? eBay is an online, I'm searching for the good term here. I'm going to use the good term here. So eBay is basically a place where people will, you know, sell or buy all sorts of things. It's not like a classified ad. It is more of a place where people have things to sell that are unique and will put them online here to sell. In many ways, you can, of course, use the buy it now thing, which means that you can sell something for $10, or if you have something that is unique, that you know that is maybe worth something, well, you can put it there and say, okay, well, let's start the bids, and things can sell for thousands of dollars sometimes. So it's a buy and sell web place of every kind. It started off mostly as a buy and sell where people would actually go to this marketplace to sell things that they owned and try to get, of course, the maximum amount of money by putting them there for several days, and people would just bid and outbid each other. But it also became a big online retailer, because with time, a lot of people and even small companies started being created that use the eBay website as a place to sell stuff. So you'll find stuff on eBay you can find on Amazon today, because it's kind of an online retailer at the same time. It gives an image, a voice to people that want to sell stuff. But it's also a great place, and that's the major difference. If you're looking for that rare little thing that you can't find anywhere, eBay is the place for that. I personally use eBay for two things. Having some stuff sometimes like office supplies really cheap by buying non-brand that people sell, but mostly buying something that I can't find anywhere else. Even, something, it's the most amazing. I remember when I was young, I had a little radio that had the, was the Sesame Street radio, and I was like, maybe 6 or 7 years old when I got this. And I remember at some point today, and I searched for it here, and behold, somebody had one new in a box, and he was selling it online. So if you're looking for really out of this world stuff that you can't find nowhere, eBay is a place for that, and it is a great place to find very unique stuff that you'll never see anywhere else. Baidu. Baidu is the Chinese Google. It's a very big website in China. So if you hear Baidu, it is the Chinese Google. It's the equivalent. And finally, we end with Outlook.com. Outlook.com is that website where everybody would go before was Hotmail.com. Hotmail.com, email, webmail from Microsoft. Very popular, and became very popular once again. Why? Because of Microsoft's own services that pushed us towards going here. So Outlook.com, or basically what used to be Hotmail.com, basically. So that was a look at some of the websites that people go to, what they are all about. I hope you enjoyed this show, maybe learned something. And of course, if you have a subject, just let me know. Description, you can post a little comment. Hey, I would like you to talk about this or that. Anything about technology, anything. It doesn't have to be just computers. Anything about technology itself. And of course, you are the one that chooses the subjects. Thanks, everyone. It was nice to do this again. Learn the Tech Show number 25 over. Already the Tech Show day is over for today. Incredible. Every time, in the morning I wake up, it's like, oh, it's Tech Show day. And it goes like this, and it's over. So thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. And for Tim Robinson that says, speaking of David Bowie, never played that guitar. Someday, I promise I will. Take care, everybody. See you next week. We have our live tech show at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 hours UTC, where I answer your questions and learn the tech at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2200 hours Universal Time. Bye-bye, and see you next week. Have a great week, guys and girls.